Hey, everybody, welcome in. We got another episode of Real Sports Off Ice here. Getting started a little bit later in the week. Holiday yesterday, so kicking it off here on Tuesday. I'm Jesse Montano. She's Meghan Angley. We got Marty Richardson from Dawg Nation joining us for the show today. Got a great pod coming up for you guys. But first, got to tell you guys about our great friends over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? With RefiJet, you could save around $150 every month, all with just a soft credit pull and zero hassle. Lower payments, flexible terms, maybe even some cash back from your car's equity. RefiJet does the work. You get the savings. Start today at refijet.com, the faster, easier way to refinance. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Sure is. Welcome in. How's it going? Grill Sports Off Ice Tuesday edition. Hope you all had a nice long weekend. I'm Jesse Montano, joined as always by Meghan Angley. And our guest series here rolls on, Meghan. So we have Marty Richardson, the Dawg Father himself in the house. Founder, CEO, Dawg Nation. Marty, first of all, just thank you so much for taking some time to come down and hang out with us. I know you're a busy guy.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, you and I, we've talked for a while now, and we've been saying we got to get Marty on the show. We got to get Marty on the show. So we're just happy to be able to get you down here. But I know it's a busy time of year, as you know, we're getting ready to get rolling on all kinds of stuff. How excited are you for hockey to get going again? I've got a decent looking team you're heading in.
I think so. I think going into the year, I mean, it looks like a good a team as they've ever had, really.
Yeah. Probably the best I've felt about it since 21-22 when they won. So,
and even then, they started the year looking very different.
It's so true.
Post-deadline, a completely different team. So it's exciting. I think Marty's right.
Yeah. It's not a lot of drama this summer. So no, it should be fun. But with that, usually comes, the start of a lot of the Dawg Nation stuff, starting with, some events next week. But we just want to talk with you today about not only what Dawg Nation is and what it is you guys do, but your journey. And I've been lucky enough to be present for some of these events that you do. And typically, Marty, by the time you're done talking, there's not a lot of dry eyes left in the building. But I guess let's just start really, really basic for folks that don't know. Tell us about, what is Dawg Nation and what it is that you guys do here, based in Colorado and St. Louis, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think it's a dog charity.
Yeah.
I get that quite a bit. But back in 2009, we had a team, a beer league team, just like lots of people out there have basketball teams or golfers or whatever. And our beer league team had 16 guys on it. And unbelievably, in a 9-day period, February of 2009, not one, not two, but 3 of our players were diagnosed with some sort of cancer, all on the same team. Each time I'd pass my hat around the room and we would go see Danny or Dave or Andy in the hospital. It wasn't that we gave them $200. It was that they had a group of people in that room that cared for them and loved them. And today, all 3 of those guys play hockey with me. So that 16 years later, same exact team, same exact year. Later in that year, a 4th guy got sick, and we thought, my goodness, literally a quarter of our team. And we thought cancer again, but it turned out it was an autoimmune disease. And that guy's name was Jack Kelly. And Jack, once they figured out what he was wrong with him, he only, about 6 months later, he basically withered away and he passed away. And when he passed away, he had 3 daughters, just like I do. I was a college soccer player, just like Jack was. I coached competitive soccer. So did Jack. And I'm a CPA, and he was a financial guy. So it was like looking in the mirror when Jack passed. And I told those 3 girls, want to do something in your dad's honor. And so we started this thing called Dawg Nation Hockey Foundation. And if I would have known it'd blow up, we would have came up with a way cooler name. This is what we're stuck with right now. And but really what it was designed for was to honor Jack every time that we help another hockey family. And we had 4 of them on our own team to help. And what we really did was they started with the passing of the hat that then went to another locker room, and then to another rink in Denver, and then to another city in Colorado, and then to another state, and then even outside of the United States, where we do the same pass the hat. And really all we're doing, it's pretty simple model. We're just rallying those communities to, and believe it or not, we're now 15 years later and we've given away over $6 million.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And I just,
wild, right?
It's honestly almost unbelievable. And I just want to make sure people know, because I was there when you were telling the story, literally passing the hat around. Not like a figurative, we pat, like, no, you took the hat off your head and passed it around.
Yeah. And we still do that today, but now it is a little bit figuratively, because at our next upcoming event, and every event we do, we'll have an envelope that's got a picture of a hat on it. And,
Nice.
And that envelope is used for whoever the recipient is at that specific event.
Yeah.
And we'll tell kind of a story with it. And we give away a prize with those. And, quite often, he probably doesn't like me telling it, but I'm going to say it anyway. But Joe Sakic donates his personal suite for the winning prize. So, which is that definitely rallies some people to help out. And then the envelopes get a little bit bigger, and we're able to help the family a little bit more.
I love it. I love it so much.
I'm sure going back, Jack's family was one of the first families that you helped through Dawg Nation, but what was the first cause that you remember outside of that you helped through Dawg Nation?
Well, really, it would have been our very, very first event. We decided to do this on January 1st, 2011. So it's really easy to remember when we started. It was 1-1-1-1.
Yeah.
And at that meeting there, it was my left defenseman and goalie and right wing, and we all threw literally $100 bill in the middle of the table. There were 8 of us, and they looked at me as a CPA and said, figure out how to make a 501c3 and what are we going to do? And let's go do a hockey tournament. And it was really just going to be 3 months later on April 1st. And whatever we were going to do, we were going to help people on that. And what happened was, as we were leading up to it, one of the referees in the league I was in, they all have regular jobs, and he was a mail carrier, and he got hit by a kid that lost control of his car and pinched him, and really would have died had the kid backed up, because he would have bled to death, but the kid kept his car, high school kid, against this guy. And prior to that, Dan Hohenstein's the guy's name, and Dan was he was going to volunteer and help find referees for me to do this tournament and so on and so forth. Then turned out he ended up being our first recipient.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And now Dan, to this day, is a tax client of mine, but he's also, but he also is a long time supporter and rallies the referees. And one of the really cool things, the local referees, it's called CIRA, which stands for Colorado Ice Hockey Referees Association. That's for the amateur crappy players like me. We get those referees, and they it's an expensive endeavor for a tournament to run. We have 100 games in the tournaments that we run, that many games, and
it's a lot of ice time.
A lot of ice time and a lot of referees you got to fill. And we have not paid for a referee in 10 years because of CIRA.
Wow.
And every single one of those referees donates their time. It's amazing.
That is amazing. So in addition to some of the tournaments, what are kind of all of the different fundraising events that you do throughout the year?
We do 3 biggies, and one's called the Dawg Bowl, play on words, and that's a 5-day hockey tournament all the way from, we have the U.S. Paralympic team typically there, U.S. blind players there, all the way up to people that have played in that tournament is Sam Girard, Milan Hejduk every year, Jan Heda, Paul Stasny, Troy Terry. There's been a lot of big names that play in that top
DU
division.
girl over here. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so lots of DU guys. Logan O'Connor's played in it.
Heck yeah.
And so it's that's our biggest event by far. That's every June. And then we do an event called Stand Up for Dawg Nation, and it's a comedy event at Comedy Works, and that's really fun, and it does really well. We've sold that out every year for 15 years, and 500 seats ish. And And then our other big one is their golf tournament, call it Tee It Up for Dawg Nation.
Cool.
And that's coming up, and we're going to chat about that a little bit later, but that's, those are our 3 biggies. But in addition to that, we probably do at least 10 other ones, like smaller tournaments and things like that throughout the year.
That's awesome.
You know, Marty, we talk a lot on this show about hockey, you know, the community and the culture and kind of the family that you know, grows around it. I started playing when I was 4, and, you know, just kind of coming up in this community. It shaped, you know, a lot of who I am. All of this is kind of built around that family, that community.
Yeah. How
easy is it to get people to, you know, in this community, get excited about what it is that you're doing? How exciting is it to get people?
Super easy.
Yeah.
It was, early on, we literally almost had to go find our recipients, and because people didn't know who we were.
Let us help you.
Right.
And we're here to help you about it. Now we get a nomination a week, and every story we hear is like pretty tough. But then whoever the nominator is, we reach out to them. And like you said, Jesse, that it's not very hard to get them to rally a skate or to get some auction items to do something. And then it just is there's a lot of pros and ex-pros that raise their hand and say, tell them, once you tell that story, they're like, I can help out on that. And that might be signing some autographs. That might be actually going to a game with a player, might be going to a skate in the morning, but all of the above happens all the time. Yeah. As you've seen that.
Well, so I was just about to say, I mean, you know, I've been lucky enough to be at a handful of, you know, these types of events and stuff, even just over the last couple of years. And my number one takeaway from that is, like you said, there's always, you know, prominent hockey figures there, but to me, they never want any of the attention. They just kind of want to be there, being part of the, you know, supporting the cause. And that's one of the things I think is great about it is, you know, one of these guys could use it as a great PR opportunity. So they're just like, no, I just want to be here helping my community.
Yeah. No, that's I think the culture of hockey a little bit is kind of the way those guys are. And I kind of push some of those guys into the forefront a little bit more, especially Jan Heda and Milan Hejduk are dear friends of mine, but because it helps us. That and I, you know, I've got to the point now that, like last year we went to the Winter Classic on the NHL's dime, and they asked, can you bring someone? And so I brought Yanni Heda with me, and Yanni was interviewed on the broadcast.
That's right. Oh my gosh, it's right.
It's really important. Like I was telling him, it's great to be humble all the time, but sometimes like what you're doing is then going to help that next family.
100%.
And that's that when they definitely do that for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it all the time.
100%.
So.
I know in 2021, you were a finalist for the Willie O'Ree Community Award. And I wanted to know a little bit about what that meant to you and how that recognition helped to give more visibility to Dawg Nation, and also a little bit on the relationship to the Avs organization too. It feels like every year in the auction, I see items that are personally donated from even current players. And so I imagine that the relationship you have with the Avs is a part of this story too.
It's super important. And the Willie O'Ree was an incredible honor. I mean, I actually was a semifinalist 2 years in a row prior to being a finalist. And so probably the coolest part of that is actually meeting Willie O'Ree. And I got to, it wasn't just, hey, take a picture. And did this whole thing beforehand at the awards. They don't do that anymore. And Willie hasn't gone since. And
really,
his health is declining a little bit. And so it was literally, I just sat with him and talked with him, just me and him for like 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I can't believe everybody's not taking advantage of this. Like, it was an incredible moment for me. And then they had a special happy hour right after that. And that happy hour was anyone up for an award. So that didn't just mean Willie O'Ree.
Oh man.
That was, it was Connor McDavid.
That's very cool.
It was Clayton Keller, who actually, he does stuff with us now. So running in that year, Jim Montgomery won Coach of the Year.
Yes.
So, and I knew Jim from before. So for me, it was really like, it was cool. I get to, and Jelly Roll was there, so my wife was
Yes.
happy.
Okay, this
So-
had to be the NHL. I
So
remember this.
She took a picture with him and chatted with him because nobody knew who he was in this room.
So all right, so I'm gonna butt in a little bit here because this was in Nashville, correct?
Yeah.
If my memory serves me right.
Yeah.
So we were actually there, and one of the people that we were there with, one of the social media was like, "Oh my gosh, Jelly Roll's here," and I said, "Who is Jelly
There,
Roll?"
you and me both.
And I felt like the one in the
Yeah.
out group because everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Jelly Roll." I was like, "I have never heard of this
Yeah.
person in my life."
Yeah.
But sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt,
no,
but
we got,
just when you
my
said
wife
Jelly
ended
Roll-
up definitely getting the picture with
Yeah.
him, and I'm like, I'm gonna go with Cale McCarr.
Yeah.
So it was
Valid.
great, and so that was really needed. But having the local team involved is really
Yeah.
really important, and that's both on the collegiate side because we're blessed with who we have here. Like, I mean, the best program. I mean, not even arguably, it's the best program ever in the history of sport. And you've got,
No arguments.
we've gone from all three of the coaches, starting with Guaz
Yep.
and Jim and David Carl's very first lunch when he was announced coach was with me
Wow.
because Jim Montgomery said, I think you should probably be part of this.
Oh, wow.
And not every year, but I speak to the team once in a while before the season. I'm going to this year in
Wow.
September
Nice.
and talking about what, like, these are young guys and talking about the importance of giving back. And David Carl definitely gets that to it way beyond a T. And so it's really neat. I always bring a recipient with us and we kind of talk to the team about what it's like. And then abs wise, really some of it's through the team, which is really, really awesome. And then some of it's just personal relationships I have outside the team. And that's, that really started with Peter McNabb. That was my first one. He was the first one that I met, and before he passed, we never could remember even how we met. We were like, when was it? When did we meet? And but that was a really tough loss, but for the whole hockey community and also for us because he was at all of our events. Wow. And he would do trivia questions. He didn't want to play golf, but he'd sit on the second hole and do trivia questions with me.
Amazing.
Every year. And so that was important. And then even just like the most active with us is Milan Hejduk. You'll see him playing.
Yeah.
His kids play with our dogs teams and his wife volunteers. And so that's that. And he's about as humble as they get. And sometimes he doesn't get that people are so wowed by him, but he's a legendary player here.
Yeah.
And it really gave us a lot of credibility out of the gate, and it caused a lot of this growth with those names. And sounds like I'm name dropping, but honestly, they are all incredibly important to why this has become what it's become.
Absolutely. Well, and you're not name dropping, but as you're sitting here, as you're going through these experiences and some of these names that you're mentioning, when you guys did formalize it to do the first event, did you ever imagine anything of this scale?
No, I thought at the time I worked for this little software company called Oracle, and I figured I was going to retire.
Just a small company.
I thought I'd retire from there. And I had a big boy job as an international finance director and kind of was set for life. This was going to kind of roll through, and we figured we'd do a tournament a year, maybe one other thing. And everybody on that board would just keep their regular jobs and we'd give away, $10,000-$15,000 a year. And that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. And I really thought that's all it was ever going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a few things that caused it to really take off. And one probably was meeting Peter McNabb, because he would mention Dawg Nation on the air with Mike Haynes. Yeah. And then the second one was probably meeting Milan Hejduk. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden Milan was just retiring. So he'd come hang out with me and go do stuff. And I'm going to meet Milan Hejduk. He's part of this. So but the kind of the biggest thing that really took it off was, it was a tragic thing. But it was a referee named Butch Mousseau. Yeah. And Butch was, to this day, is the only Native American to referee an NHL hockey game. And his skates and jersey and stuff are in the Hall of Fame from that. But you probably know this one.
Yeah.
He fell in a NCAA tournament game in the warm-ups of all things. And he didn't have his helmet on, and he liked to skate with his hands in his pockets. And I remember, I can envision that because he reffed a lot of my games and I knew him really well. And he transitioned from front to backwards and caught an edge and hit the back of his head, and he passed away. And we had that link up. And I remember that when the story came out, and his family reached out to us to rather than do a GoFundMe, it was through us. And it sounded like my wife's phone had the PayPal thing on when people would donate. And we were watching a TV that night, and it sounded like a video game because it was like deep.
Just wouldn't stop.
That was all the donations.
Aww.
And that was, it was really powerful, really sad. Got to know the family. And then later his son actually became my intern.
Oh, wow.
Like 6-7 years later.
Yeah.
And still, but that was probably what got us. It went from maybe 100,000 to all of a sudden where it was probably, double, triple that.
Wow. I remember that. You know, unfortunately, I remember that very clearly in your guys' involvement and all that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was probably the biggest. But it's an accidental nonprofit, really.
Yeah.
I mean, on purpose nonprofit, but
Yeah.
accidental to all of a sudden
this
to go,
reach.
oh yeah, I'm just going to go hang out with Gabe Landeskog now. And I'm going to bring this little kid with cancer. And like, I would have never thought that would have ever happened.
Unbelievable.
And so that's cool.
I think another extension of that is the work you've done with the Humboldt Broncos, starting the Broncos scholarship. Can you tell us a little bit
that
more
one
how
was
you got
really
aligned
wild.
with that?
How it all started was when that accident happened. I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't grasp the magnitude of it. And of all things, I was actually at the National Sled Hockey Championships for the U.S. and it was in Chicago, and I was there because we supported a lot of the vets and different things that were doing that. And Ryan Strasninsky, who was in the accident, he ended up being paralyzed, and he got visited in the hospital. He was in Calgary, so he got a little bit more media attention because a lot of these guys were from little towns and things like that. And here's Straz and paralyzed and had a pretty big social media presence. But Gretzky, the cup came right into his hospital room, and Gretzky visited him, and he had on Canadian TV said he was his hockey career is not over. He's going to be coming. They call it sledge hockey up there, but I'm going to be and make it easy sled hockey player. And so here I was, I'm at this event, and his trainer was a guy that played for the Denver Cutthroats.
Nice.
And Drew Coles.
Heck yeah.
And Drew's Calgary guy, but trained this guy.
Yeah.
This Ryan before he got hurt. And Drew is in the hospital with him. He goes, Marty, you got to check this out. I go, what is it? He goes, just check out this link, read it, and then call me back. And it was that story.
Yeah.
And so I called him back, and I said, you never believe where I am. I'm at this sled hockey thing. So I went to the U.S. national players that were in the tournament because they were on random teams at that point because it was a club tournament.
Yeah. And
one of the guys, Ralph D. Quebec, who's from Denver here, he took the stick that he's a veteran that lost his legs in Iraq, and he took the stick that he had just won the gold medal with, one of the two, signed it, and then we had the rest of the players sign it, and I put it in a package with a dog hat, handwritten out, and sent it to Straz.
Oh,
wow.
And then about a week later, on Straz's Instagram was him wearing that hat in the hospital bed. And then the ball started rolling, and I thought, well, I wonder if we can call these guys and say, and I, again, not knowing what was going on and how small that town was or anything, I'm like, I'll just call the Humboldt Broncos.
Yeah.
And see if we can maybe help Straz a little bit. And, and so what I didn't realize is they were getting, the president of the club was getting, he was also the, like the superintendent of the school district up there. These
Oh,
people,
wow.
and he was president of their board.
Small
And,
town.
Yeah. And so he's getting hundreds, if not thousands of calls a day and not taking any of them because it was just overwhelming. And he said, I phoned him, and for some reason, he doesn't know why. His name's Kevin Geringer. He picked up the phone.
Wow.
And it was me. And we talked for an hour and a half. And he then ended up talking to a couple of the parents and again connected me with a kid named Grayson Cameron, who broke his back in the accident, also from the Calgary area. And I talked to his parents, invited him down to come to our dog ball, still really kind of not realizing the magnitude, because I can't believe his parents let their son after this 2 months later come just stay at my house.
Right.
And his parents now are like, yeah, I don't know why we did, but we just felt like it was the right thing to do. Yeah. And he coached our team that day, and that had Milan on it, and Yanni on it, and Johnny Mitchell, and Kyle Quincy, and Paul Stasny, and he got to be the coach for that weekend.
That's awesome.
And that was really kind of how it started. But I don't know if do you guys know the Jared Bednar connection to these guys?
Well, so we've seen his involvement because he played for the Broncos at one point, is from the area more or less, but that's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, so I didn't know any of that. And so Ryan couldn't come to the dog bowl, so Grayson came. And then he accepted a check on Ryan's behalf. And then I said, I want to bring Ryan down here. And it was 7-8 months later, and let's go to a Denver Bronco game.
Yes.
Fit well, and an Avs game, and go see DU, the whole bit. Like, we're going to make this amazing weekend. And I'm up in North Dakota doing, of all things, on a farm, tearing down a barn with my buddy Mike, and my phone rings, and Mike chucks my phone up to me. I'm sitting on the roof with a pry bar, and I answer it, and the guy goes, "Is this Marty?" I said, "Yeah." And he says, "My name's Jared Bednar. I don't know if you know who I am, but I coach the Avalanche." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not an idiot." And so he tells me that, he goes, "I heard that you're bringing Ryan Strass to Denver." And he goes, "I think that's really awesome." And he goes, "I know you're a small charity. I can probably help with some of the funding, but do you know he's not the only one that was paralyzed on the bus crash?" I said, "No, I didn't know that." And he said, "No, there was another kid named Jacob Wasserman." And he said, "I've known Jacob's mom since we were like in first grade."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so Jacob grew up in Humboldt. Jared grew up in Humboldt, knew his mom, knew his dad. They still fished together, and so on and so forth. So that hit like home with Jared. And he said, "Can you bring them both down?" And so that's why I ended up bringing both down. And it was still a little early in the journey, but now 11 of the 13 kids that survived the accident have been down in Denver with Dawg Nation.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool. A lot of them people don't really know. I just had lunch with Caleb Dahlgren. He's the one who wrote the book about it, called Crossroads. And he's now, believe it, Dr. Caleb Dahlgren.
Wow, no way.
He's a chiropractor.
That's
awesome. Oh my gosh.
And he was at a seminar down by the Air Force Academy just last week. So we went and had dinner.
That's amazing.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know the extent, of all the different folks you guys had worked with. And, one of the events that I got to be a part of was, I believe it was last year in Edmonton with a couple of the Humboldt guys, but then also Ben Stelter's family.
Yeah.
Ben Stelter was the really young, little boy who was kind of the some Edmonton Oilers rallied around. He was the Play La Bamba, and got to meet his family. And I believe they were recipients. They were in a hotel room up like at right before an Avs game.
Yeah, we surprised them and helped them out. But they're doing. That was what I did with that one. It's a very memorable day in Avs history, because it was Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. In 22, and that was the one that Lehkonen scored in overtime in. And So before that game is when I met the Stelters.
Yeah.
And we were up, but I went to that game with 5 young men that were in that crash. And they what I did with them is the Stelters didn't want anything big. So we literally went under the arena, and this guy opened a door. We were in a remote hallway.
Yeah.
And I let the Humboldt boys do the check presentation to them.
Wow.
And they were all crying.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. But we all, one by one, held Benny. And then Benny went, and I stood there, and I was across the way where every player, all the Oilers high-fived him, and he couldn't stand at that point. So his dad had to hold him, and they all high-fived him as he went in. And I think he passed about 2 months after that. But every time now I go to Edmonton, which has been several times since, I always spend time with the Stelters.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, like I said, I made that comment off the top about not a dry eye. I mean, that was one of those events where, there's probably about 20 of us, 20 plus in that room. And I mean, everybody was crying. Myself, I'm supposed to be running a camera, and I couldn't even see through my own tears, but
special family for sure.
Well, and what you guys do is really special, Marty. And that was the point of, what I wanted to make there was, like I said, I've been lucky to see a tiny fraction of the stuff that you guys do. And the money helps and the donation and all that stuff, but to see the impact that it has on the individuals that I mean, just like I said, I consider myself very lucky to see the few of these that I have seen. For you, I imagine that's the greatest reward in all this.
I mean, that's you can't put a price tag on that, it sometimes comes with a bit of a burden, though, because you get to know these families really, really well, and they don't always make it.
Yeah.
And like Benny.
Yeah.
And I get a phone call from the family, and Mike telling me that he lost his son. I knew it was coming, but you can't really prepare yourself for that. And so I go to a lot of funerals. I get asked to speak at a lot of funerals, and that's an incredible honor.
Yeah.
To be able to be in a hospital room and hold someone's hand and know that they might not even have a day to live. But to me, I think it comes with the responsibility of honoring them and keeping that legacy going, which was what we try to do with Jack Kelly. Yeah. But also with others. And quite often last week we did a very under the radar one with a woman that lost her husband, and same thing. And her daughter was there, and her husband and the widow was there, and I hope we can talk about him in 10 years. And whatever. And that's really what our program is really kind of designed for that. It starts with the injury or illness, and hopefully the family eventually, when they're in a position to be able to help, and they can get it.
I think there's also this component of making hockey more accessible to everyone too, and platforming all forms of hockey, just kind of celebrating the game, hearing in the Dog Bowl that you have all differently abled bodies being able to participate with sledge hockey. And I was curious if you could talk about that aspect of Dawg Nation a little more.
Yeah, that wasn't the beginning of it. The beginning of Dawg Nation it wasn't even youth hockey. It was designed, and because I didn't think it would ever get very big. So it was these locker rooms with adult hockey players, and we're going to help our other adult hockey players. And then, the refs, well, let's help a couple refs. And it started with the sled hockey guys, and we started working with those guys. And they're a dynasty when it comes to sled hockey. Colorado sled hockey is by far the most successful sled hockey program in the world. Like club wise, and the vast majority of the U.S. national teams lives right here in Colorado.
Oh, no
That's
kidding!
Cool. Is it in the springs near the Olympic Training Center?
More up here in Arvada area, and
that's so cool.
And it started with a couple of guys who lived here, Nico Landeros and Tyler Karen. They were both wrestlers at Berthoud High School, and they both lost their legs. And in a girl from their school hit them from behind when they were changing a tire.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
coming
gosh.
from a dance at the school at Berthoud High School. And they were both really good wrestlers, but they both became gold medalists. And
Yeah.
so that kind of put a little bit of spotlight on Colorado. And then, there's a lot of military in Colorado. So some of those guys ended up here and so on and so forth. So that was what really took it off. And now the best player, and by far, he's no one. I mean, I guess you never know, but Declan Farmer is so much better than anyone else that's ever played the game.
Yeah.
And he moved to Colorado.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know he moved. I'm definitely familiar with the name. So
Declan lives here. And I see him very often.
Nice.
And but that's caused all these guys to move here. But then from there, people saw us doing that. And I think it was more them reaching out to us, because then the blind hockey community reached out. Hey, I saw you do sled. Can you add this?
Yeah.
And in the last couple of years, they call it special hockey, but it's with young men and women with cognitive disabilities. And so we have that in there too. And I take it even a little bit further. NHL has their mantra, or used to. I think they might have changed it, but it's hockey is for everyone. And we kind of do that. We really do that. Like really do that. And I have a team that I'll put together in we do 3-on-3 off to you come play one of those with me. But my team is called the Inclusive Dogs. And my team has typically a couple of Special Olympians, a sled player or two, and also this past year we had 2 blind players. Wow. And we play in the regular division.
That's
oh my gosh, awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's pretty cool, because these guys are way better players than you think. And they and it turns out when I played with Declan and a couple of these guys in a pond hockey tournament in Minnesota, and right off the bat the other team's kind of like and then they realize these guys are really good. And what happens with me and those guys is, at first I'm like, we'll just have a good time, but it turns competitive pretty quick. And Declan's yelling at me for not going back door, and I'm yelling at him for not back checking, and he's just my teammate then, which is really what I want it to be.
Yes.
In the end of the day. But to me, it's really important that we include everybody.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten on one of the sleds?
Yeah.
I've never done it.
You'll have to come out and do it.
It looks like it'd be a ton of fun.
It does look fun.
Yeah. We can definitely do it. There's what the trick is, and you guys would be able to do it right away, but it's actually got 2 blades on it, just like a hockey blade. They're actually hockey blades.
Really?
But you think they only have one, because they put them so close together.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the better the player is. So for me, they put them wide, because if they put them really close, I fall over.
Tipping,
And as you get better, like a brand new player will start like this, and they'll slowly get to where they're like this. And you think that they're on one blade, but they're not. They're on 2. And so it's actually not as hard as you think, but when they're wide, but you can't turn. It's like turning a semi. And those guys can do this. And I've done it a few times, but the coolest one was we went up and we saw Straz in Calgary.
Nice.
And Hejduk went to that game with me, and we were the next day we got to train with some of the guys were from the Canadian Paralympic team.
Nice.
That's so cool.
And Milan and I were so bad because they were, but it was fun though. But they actually did a whole CBC story on the news that night.
No way.
Awesome. We were both on the interview. It was like cruising around. But you guys have got to try it.
That's so cool.
We would love to come out and do something like that.
Really fun.
We just got Megan in net like 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
for the first time.
Did you?
First time.
Nice.
Goalie training.
So goalie training 1 week, sled hockey the
yeah,
next.
no,
There
like
you
I need to
go.
diversify my
There you go.
portfolio.
Marty, one of the things I remember you talking about at that event that I was at was, I believe it was the Survivor game.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I remember that being something really special that you.
That's been around almost since the beginning. We did the first one at the second Dog Bowl, but basically, what it is, it's a game played by men and women. The referees, even the scorekeepers, have all survived life-threatening injury or illness. And so most are cancer survivors, but we have traumatic brain injuries, and we have transplants, and we have strokes, and we have diseases, and we have COVID survivors, and all these different things. And what started really was that first year, it was hard to find enough people to even, I'm begging people, hey, you roller hockeyed once, right?
Yeah,
I'll get you skates. And but now it's probably a distribution list of a couple hundred at least.
Wow.
And
Nice.
we put this game on every year and have a different theme each year. And it's really the showcase of the Dog Bowl.
Yeah.
It's the best part about it. And each year, this year, the theme, we did a traumatic brain injury theme, and we had, believe it or not, 10 players in that game that had all suffered traumatic brain injuries. And 4 of them were told that they weren't going to make it, and not going to make it, certainly never play hockey again.
Right.
And they were part of that game. And I'll tell you one of them that was just an amazing story. His name's Johnny Landis, and Johnny, he grew up playing hockey and decent enough to play for Thunderbirds.
Nice.
But his coach when he was little, not on Thunderbirds, when he was little, was a guy named Joe Sakic.
Oh,
and
all right. I
he
think I've
played
heard
with
of him.
he played with Chase and Joe's younger son, and they grew up doing that. And Johnny ended up being lacrosse later, but ended up at CU. And back in 2019, he was a freshman, and he slipped off the top of the roof of a fraternity house, and he fell 42 feet onto his head, and his skull was fractured. This is not an exaggeration, in 162 places. And he would have died right there, but luckily one of his frat brothers was trained as a lifeguard and stabilized him. And they were close to where first responders were there really quick, but that night they estimated he had over 100 frontal lobe strokes, and he was just waiting for he has 2 older sisters, and the one, Madeline, was in college out of state. And so they wanted to just keep Johnny alive till Madeline made it back. And while they were waiting, Johnny squeezed the nurse's hand, and the nurse got excited, and everybody got excited. And the doctor came in and said, "Nah, I mean, that's just, he's going through a lot right now." And they were going to turn him off the machines as soon as Madeline said goodbye. And they were still waiting for Madeline. And then Johnny struggled and did a thumbs up. And then they were like, he's hearing us.
Yeah.
And this was a long journey, but he now skates in our weekly hockey heel skate every Wednesday. That's where you should come and hang out. That is a survivor game every week.
Wow.
And Apex donates the ice for that every week, and we got every Wednesday morning, and the ice is filled with these miracles.
That's amazing.
It's really cool.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
really
we
cool.
gotta go to.
And Johnny's out there every week, and he's other part of that is he's met other people. There's another young man named Paul Zancanelli, and he's not quite as far along. And Paul had a traumatic brain injury, but he still rehabs at Craig, and he's still in a wheelchair. But we brought him out to hockey heels, and he was in a sled, but his dad pushed him.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. But get this, because of that network, and Johnny's got a lot of friends, and so did Paul, but their friends don't really understand what they're going through, what these 2 guys are going through. But because of hockey heels, because of Dawg Nation, the Zancanellis and the Landis families know each other now.
Yeah.
And every Thursday, Johnny and Paul go to dinner together with nobody else.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
That's it sounds almost unbelievable.
Yeah. And that has nothing to do with money.
Right.
Just connection.
Yeah. Just
and allow the families too are able to kind of
lean on each other.
Yeah. Like, okay, hey, Johnny was here at this point. What did you do at that point? And we do that with everything, with heart transplants. We've got that Survivor game had 5 heart transplants in it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
My brother being one of them.
So
Wow.
I was going to ask you about that because I know your brother plays a big role in a lot of this as well
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah. He was, he's always been a big part of it from the beginning and protective of me since we were little kids and teammate of mine. And a few years ago, he's active guy and pretty fit and skis a lot. And he was up at Winter Park and skied all day long, came back. His chest was hurting, shoveled the driveway. He has a place up in Tabernash. And I was like, man, there's something wrong. And he started stretching, took a sauna, but it turned out he was having what they call the widowmaker heart attack, which is when your left ventricle gets clogged, and over and over and over. And 85% of the people that get a widowmaker heart attack die.
Yeah.
One widowmaker heart attack.
Right.
They estimated that he had 14 of them. And somehow he was being Mr. Tough Guy and never waited all the way till the next morning. And they went, his wife Kelly took him in and they were like, oh my God, we got to rush you back back down to Denver because this is really bad.
Oh, wow.
He'd completely wrecked his heart. And so that put him on a heart transplant list. And about 2 months, not even 6 weeks after that, he ended up, a young man passed away in Salt Lake and my brother got his heart and then a year went by and we figured out who the family was, reached out to the family, and then our Survivor game. I don't know if you knew the story. Yeah. I kept it a secret from everyone in the whole arena, but it was an organ donation theme that year. Oh. And my brother came out to take the face off against somebody else with a heart transplant with a little girl dropping the puck that had a heart transplant. So all 3 of them had that. And we talked, took the mic and talked to the 2,000 people in the crowd and thanked them for being there and how important it is to put a heart on your driver's license because you just never know. But there's 2 parts to that. And one is the rejoicing and second chance that my brother got and that my best friend is still around. And so that was huge for our family and an amazing thing. But you flip side is another family had the worst day of their life and they're probably still grieving and it probably will never get over that. But that person is in my brother. And I said, someday we'd love to meet him. Yeah. And I said, turn around. And I had arranged for 17 of their family to be there. It was cool. Yeah. And then after the game, we met them and my wife gave the mother of Sean a stethoscope with his initials on, and one by one they listened to his heart. It's cool. Sorry.
No. I mean,
that's a really beautiful story.
Yeah, that's an amazing story.
But those are the things that are, and then what happened from that was, Keith Jones, who played for the Avs and now is president of the Flyers. I got to know him when he was at TNT. And so then he became the Flyers guy. So reached out and he ended up making, when the Avs played the Flyers a couple of years ago, he invited our whole family out and their family because that family was from Philadelphia. Oh. And we got a suite all catered and Keith came and watched part of the game with us.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool? And it was like everything was, I was like, well, give me the cater list. So I can order something. And he's like, come on, Marty. And the whole thing it was all Philadelphia based, little mini cheesesteaks and certain pizzas and these little cakes they have there. And so it was really cool. That was all on him. Yeah. And
that's incredible.
And there's no one would have known he did that, but then they did a whole tribute to Sean on the big screen and to the whole arena. And I was like, wow, some amazing people out there.
Yeah. I'm trying to even collect my thoughts here, cause I had heard that story before. But that's a, and like you said, that's the community part of it.
Yeah, that was a big day for DU. Logan O'Connor scored his first and only hat trick that night.
Thanks to Nathan McKinnon.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah.
Shout out Logan. Oh,
Yeah.
shout out to you.
Yeah.
Go Pios. No, that's an incredible story. I think. Does it continue to surprise you, the kindness and generosity of people in the hockey community? It seems on one hand, this is just the culture, but on the other hand, I hear stories like that, and I am still amazed by just how big the hearts are of the people in this community.
Yeah, for me, I love the storytell. You probably can figure that out, but
Yeah.
but they're really cool stories that we can tell, and I love to lift others up
Yeah.
by doing that, and it's my favorite part of that. But I think the other part is the check is one thing, like you said, but the caring is really, really important. But then the other part is I love to try and figure out, is there a way to make it really memorable? Like
Yeah.
that moment when you were helped, like how can we, not just me, mail you a check?
Right.
Yeah.
Make it
That
special.
there's a moment like when my brother got his, it was the doctor that did his heart and it was standing next to him. Like there's a big meaning behind
Yeah.
why you, and even the one that was low key last week and was all the people around knew that girl that was in college now when she was a little girl.
Yeah.
Mm.
And because that was the dad's teammates and workmates.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so to me, I think like that's not really totally answering your question, but I think those moments, we call them wish upon a puck,
Mm.
is really kind of it's a really important part to
Yeah.
me. And it's something that I will never forget, that part. And it's that's where the generosity has to happen from sponsors to be able to give you, like, help
Yeah.
you fund that stuff, but also generosity of time, which is for these athletes, they're funny, you know them, and I know them on a different way, like
Yeah.
sitting in their kitchen having a beer or whatever, but they don't, a lot of them don't grasp how important they are
Yeah.
to these people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get to sit right next to them and watch how amazing that is. And one of my favorites was this gal. She was dying of pancreatic cancer. Her name's Sarah Carr. And we were hoping against hope. At that point, she's going to do this. And Joe Sakic had donated a suite to a regular season game. And I told him about the story, but Sarah's teenage girl crush was Joe Sakic.
Mhm.
And so she always was telling me, I've met all these guys, but is there any way I could ever meet Joe? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. She's hard to pin down
Yeah.
and stuff. And
Mhm.
but she was totally thrilled. We had this catered suite. We had different people had battled cancer and her friends, and the whole suite was full, and we were just having a great time. And so I was sitting in a couple of the seats in the suite, and this guy, Patrick, was going, I'm going to just take a picture of you guys. He was really filming.
Mhm.
And
Good.
and it was me and Sarah, and let me get your picture. And she got a big smile on her face. And then, unbeknownst to her, Joe Sakic was right here with his
Oh my
face.
gosh.
And she tapped her on her shoulder and she freaked out.
That's so cute.
And of course, and it was awesome, and big smile and the whole bit. And then I said to Joe, I said, you cool with kissing her on the cheek? And so she ended up passing away, but the picture at her funeral was me and Joe kissing her on her cheek, and her
Oh my gosh.
each cheek, and her smile on my life.
That's
And so that was like really, like, Joe giving his time and whatever was like so big that
Yeah.
it was like one of the biggest moments in her life.
Yeah. That's so
And
Do
sweet.
you, Marty, for all these, moments that you get to be a part of, and moments that you coordinate, you're
Yeah.
on the mic, you're telling the story. Do you find it difficult to, hold the emotions back so you can get
Mhm.
through what you're saying, even after doing
Yeah.
however many of these that you've done?
Yeah, it's hard. It's when they're really early on, it's almost impossible to.
Mhm.
But like the kind of cool thing as I get to tell that story over and over and over. It gets a little bit easier each time. But the first time you hold Ben Stelter,
Right.
and you think your own kid, or your in my case, my own grandkid or something, and I can't even imagine. And it's those are people right there, and that's their real emotions, and that's their family. And I don't think I'd be good at this if I didn't have that part, because that's part of what this is.
100%.
And that you have to try and be strong for them, but at the same time, it's not real if it's not emotional, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's real.
No, definitely. I don't think anybody that could meet you could not tell your passion for helping others and doing it through the hockey community.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's clear that you love hockey so much. So I'm curious, when hockey took hold of your heart, what was that first moment?
That's a great question, because I'm actually a soccer guy.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
You mentioned coaching soccer.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm Hall of Fame at Metro State.
That's
So
super cool.
I came across that
Did you?
in the last couple of days as we were getting ready to have you in here.
So I still have a lot of. I was better at soccer, but I didn't really get a chance to play hockey. That's another. Like Dawg Nation does dabbles in that a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a big problem, and not just hockey, in all sports now, that they cost too much money.
Yep.
But hockey was out of the
about that.
question for my family. We immigrated from Europe when I was a little kid, and first to Canada, then to the States. So by the time I was 5, I'd already lived in 3 different countries, and we weren't a military family. My family, dad just wanted to get the American dream, and we ended up here. And but when I was a little kid, there was a team in Denver called the Denver Spurs, and they used to play at Denver Coliseum, and we didn't really have any money, but I would listen to I had a little red transistor radio, and I would listen to their games, and against the Portland Buckaroos or the Tulsa Oilers or the Seattle Totems. And I still vividly remember the smell of that transistor radio, the plastic. And I would sometimes fall asleep and miss the end of the game when they were playing in Portland or something. And I'd end up, having to beg my mom for a new 9-volt battery so I could I was scared to go ask her. And I remember that, but what I did is this little 8-year-old mind put like my vision of what those players looked like. Those were my heroes. And when I was 8, my dad took me to my first ever sporting event. And to me, it could have, couldn't have been more than the Super Bowl to go see the Denver Spurs play Salt Lake City Golden Eagles at the Denver Coliseum and in a playoff game. And I was 8, and I remember the score. I remember where I sat. I remember the lady's feet on the back of my chair. I remember the smell of the arena, and it was that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
But it was, so the sport I just loved beyond love. But it was never something I could play until we got into high school, and then we just would play pickup. And that's we moved to the mountains, and I had a pond, and I used to play every single day on the pond. And so I didn't play a real game with a referee and a uniform on and everything till I was in my 30s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
awesome.
really awesome.
Yeah. So I was already pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I played a ton of pond hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were all like, you never played before. And I think my very first game, I was way too level. It was just my buddies, come play. Yeah. And I think I scored 5 goals in my first game. And shouldn't be playing in the lowest division. But it wasn't like I just learned. It wasn't like I picked it up amazingly. I played hours and hours and hours and hours of pond hockey.
That's a great origin story.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Those old Denver Spurs predate me a bit, but I've seen the merch and all that stuff. I know. Yeah. That's an awesome team to have be your first team.
Right.
Probably not a lot of folks out there that are diehard Denver Spurs fans.
No, there's not a whole lot. We actually had a Denver Spur on the stage at Comedy Works 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like as a comedian?
No,
Okay.
he was
That's
he was a local coach,
all
but
right.
he played for the Spurs.
That's so
and
cool.
one of his players was getting a heart transplant,
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
and that was our recipient. And so
Full
we brought
circle
him up
moment
too.
for you.
So it's
Wow.
but Holdaway is his name, and Jim Holdaway, and he played for the Spurs like in the late 60s.
So awesome.
Like
That's really cool.
and then
That's
Wildman
really cool.
came up on
comes back.
stage, and I had a little hockey stick that was someone had given me. They used to, this predates you too. They never do this today, but they used to give away hockey sticks.
Yeah.
Like even the Rockies used to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it'd be the Conoco hockey stick or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
and,
Yeah.
And everybody, all the kids would be in the crowd sitting there with a hockey stick. And someone gave me a Denver Spurs one, so I had Jim Holdaway sign it. And that one will never show up in the auction. That's
Yes.
That's sentimental.
That's
That's cool.
All right. Well, Marty, you've been super generous with your time here. I got just a couple more for you as we wind things down. We do have the golf tournament coming up next week.
Yeah.
It is sold out.
Yeah.
But just tell us a little bit about this event and what we can expect will be there, and just what it's been like in years past.
Yeah, first time Guerrilla Sports will be there, so that's
right.
going to be really
We're
cool.
very
But,
excited.
Very excited.
It's going to be really cool. But yeah, this tournament is at University of Denver Golf Club, and we've been doing that there for several years, but we've been blessed with all our events. Our golf tournament has never not sold out.
Nice.
Wow.
And so it's 144 golfers, and this year we always pick someone to help, and this year's a really, really special one. And in case they listen to Guerrilla Sports, I'm not going to tell them who they are,
There's some
because
surprise.
it'll be a
on it.
surprise,
Okay.
and it's going to be a really, really special surprise. But there'll definitely be tears at this one. But
Okay.
the tournament itself, it's supported by every single hole is sponsored. The putting green sponsored, you name it. We invent all kinds of sponsorships to sell them out, but we're able to take that money and help a bunch of families, and it's our second biggest event that we do for the year, and Mark Mosier joins me on that one every single year, and he's going to again this year, and Jared Bednar. It's when the rookies come in that day.
Yeah.
It's always that day. So, but Jared always comes for dinner. And so
Nice.
and this is the first one in over 10 years that Milan Hejduk won't be out. So,
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
they're he turns 50 next year. So him and Zlot are doing all these crazy cool trips, but
Okay.
they're
Very
kicking it off
cool.
on this,
Very
their
cool.
Europe trip on, they leave Sunday and the tournament's
On Monday.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Yeah.
So, but
Well, we'll give him a hard time when we see him around the ring.
you will. You definitely got to do that, because he'll get it from all sides. So,
And then Marty, just for anybody who's watching, listening, who maybe wants to try to get involved and help out, and whether it be volunteer or donate, just message him. Maybe doesn't know where or how can they get involved helping out with Dawg Nation?
Website's really easy. We don't know how to spell dog, so it's DAWG.
Okay.
DawgNation.org, which is surprising we can get that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I wondered, when we first went to go get that, I'm like, how in the world does Georgia not have Dawg Nation?
I know.
And I'm like, I can't believe no one has Dawg Nation, but we got it.
You won?
And,
Yep.
The DawgNation.org. There's a lot of cool stories on there. You can see some of our programs on there and things. And there's stories about everybody we've ever helped all the way back to
Nice.
2011. And then there's really volunteering wise is we're blessed there. We have lots of them, but we can always use more. And there's a tab right on our webpage, volunteer, and it goes to me.
Okay.
Like I write, I want to help out, and it just comes to me. And we've got a gal that I haven't met. She's going to volunteer the golf tournament, and her dad was a long time media guy.
Oh, nice. Okay. Wow.
And in late, I think he was on the radio, like big time. He was a big time radio guy, and late 60s, but he died on DUIs. Had a heart attack about earlier this year.
Oh my
God.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's kind of a big deal because he was a fit guy and everything. But she wants to honor her dad by volunteering for this.
Aw.
And I didn't even know that family. And in lieu of flowers, they chose Dawg Nation.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, but there's that. And then really like the biggest thing, honestly, Jesse, is for sponsorships and donations. And we have a membership program thing that people do monthly donations, and they're all at different levels, and or just sponsor events and so on and so forth. And we have quite a few people that do the monthly membership one, because it allows us the more that we're really my CPA side. My favorite word is free. So I try and get as much given to us as we possibly can. And, which is an amazing amount. Like, none of these guys ever charge us for doing anything. And we get all kinds of jerseys. Connor McDavid sent us jerseys.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. And
that
was because of Stelter's.
That's
So that was kind of cool. But we'll get those from all over the league. And there's a few players in the league that donate every time they score a goal. Matt Duchene started that with me.
Really?
Yeah, he's been doing it for years. Every time he scores, it's $100. And that one year he scored 42 goals. So it was pretty nice. But he's then Clayton Keller does that as well, and a couple of the coaches do that on different levels, and they do theirs based on wins. Jared does that, and Monty does that.
Cool.
And the Humboldt Broncos coach does it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have that. That's more for the player if they want to do that. But I mean, people can tie their donations to that way too. I will donate based on how many wins the Habs have.
That's so cool.
That is amazing.
Things like there's kind of some neat ways that people do that.
Okay.
So
just dawgnation.org.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty simple. And but everything we can do, it's we're able to the more we bring in, the more we can give out, obviously. And my number's 8, so I've always I don't know if I'd retire at that point, but I think giving away $8 million in your lifetime would be really cool.
So, no kidding.
So I want to make a big deal when we hit 8.
Absolutely.
All right, well, you guys are on your way. Like you said, just crossed over the 6 million mark. Marty, we really appreciate you. Like I said, I know how busy you are, taking an hour to come down and chat with us. This has been one of my favorite episodes of the year, honestly.
Thank you, buddy.
I've loved this. So this has been great. Dawgnation.org. Head to the website. You can find ways to get involved. Like I said, the golf tournament next week is sold out, but we'll be there. We're going to capture a bunch of content and push it out, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So, Marty, thank you again very much.
Yes,
really,
thank you.
Thank you.
This has been great.
Awesome.
Marty Richardson, I'm Jesse Montano. She's Meghan Angley. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. We'll be back at it on Friday. But until then, we'll talk to you guys later. Dawgnation.org. Make sure you go check it out. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.